Hello and welcome to this special show, Lead Story of the Day. Why did Hyderabad get inundated so much yesterday on October 14th? That's the question we're going to ask today. This kind of inundation was due to the heaviest rainfall in 117 years on 14th October, or was it also that other reasons which affected the city badly? Our local reports have put the number of those dead from the heavy rains at around 30, but the figure will likely increase over the next 24 to 48 hours, as many missing people have been unaccounted for across parts of Telangana also. Many have been affected by the downpour during Tuesday and Wednesday. Record rains lashed Hyderabad, other parts of Telangana and some parts of the country such as Karnataka and Maharashtra under the influence of a deep depression in the Bay of Bengal. The deep depression weakened when it entered Telangana after wreaking havoc in Andhra Pradesh on Tuesday. Andhra Pradesh has also reported a torrential downpour, but Hyderabad seems to have suffered the worst. And that's the question we're going to ask today. Is the worst over for Hyderabad? Temporarily, yes, the worst is over. But the intensity of the downpour on the Telangana capital can be gauged from the fact that Hyderabad received 20 centimeters of rainfall on one single day. That is amount equivalent to 25% of the rainfall the city receives in a year, around 80 centimeters. Some of the areas around Hyderabad, particularly Rangareddy district, have received around 30 centimeters of rainfall, but the impact has not been as severe as Telangana's capital. The main reason for Hyderabad getting flooded is encroachment of lakes, a grim reminder of the December 2015 Chennai floods. Most of the housing colonies that were flooded on Wednesday abutted water bodies and were tampered with water channels. As the lakes received steady inflows, several water bodies began overflowing. This led to rainwater entering houses in many residential areas. For example, LB Nagar was the worst affected by the flooding of waters in Hyderabad. Water overflowed from the Ramantpur lake at LB Nagar, while the nearby Sarur lake only added to people's views. We are not going across to two policy analysts. One is a person who is dealing with the kind of movement to save the lakes. These lakes are the lifeline which soak up the water, which also ensure water supply to regions which otherwise would remain dry. We are also speaking to Professor C. Ramachandraya of the Institute of Policy Analysis and Studies. First to Professor Ramachandraya, we will be connecting with him in a short while right now. He will be available on the phone line. He of course has very specific views on the kind of policy measures which Hyderabad needs to overcome the kind of floods which it has seen on October 14th and 15th. The people are made to suffer, but also several sections of the people are also the problem. But the problem also lies with the policy and the implementation of the policy. Also the fact that when so many organizations are striking and working to ensure an urban planning, to ensure we are saving our lakes, that is not happening. The administration will is lacking, and the administrative will is lacking, and that is something which we will have to discuss today. We are joined, I understand, by Professor C. Ramachandraya. Hello and welcome, sir.
Good evening, Andy.
Thank you so much, sir. If you would also like to speak a little bit louder. Sir, my first question to you would be, when you saw the visuals of the floods all around you, how did it personally affect you?
No, personally, in terms of affecting the flood, it didn't affect me because of the locality I stay.
Right.
But 20 years back, on August 24th, when there was a similar heavy single-day rain in Hyderabad.
Yes.
That was 24 plus centimeters within 24 hours.
Right.
That time also a large number of areas in the city, especially down below Hussain Sagar, were flooded.
Yes.
Including Sundaraya Vidyana Kendram, Library, Park, Ashok Nagar, Gandhi Nagar, that whole belt was submerged at that time.
Right.
Then there was a Kirloskar committee, some recommendations, a lot of social activism by well-meaning citizens. And 20 years back, we are where we are.
Yes.
And 20 years later. So what happens is, another 10 years from now, if there is a similar flooding, probably we will be discussing the same issues.
Now I understand the remorse and the kind of frustration which lots of people like me and you have on the kind of avoidable damage and the avoidable destruction of people's life, of the property, and of the livelihood, which was already suffering under lockdown, and which these floods have only added extra. What would be a policy points? Let us assume that the people who have not heard us for so long, we will want to hear it once again. What will be like 10-point policy if or 5-point policy we would like to say to people who want to make the decisions and who should be making the decisions to ensure any such eventuality in the future, sir?
See, if I have to say my points, it won't be simply confined to flooding alone, because there is no way you can address just urban flooding by ignoring a series of other issues. What I would say is this city has not paid attention to the fundamentals of civic governance or fundamentals of civic life. If I say, look, with all the flooding now, there is no guarantee that there will be no water scarcity next summer.
Okay, yes, that's true.
Or there is no guarantee that all poor localities will get adequate water supply next year or next summer. What I say is the fundamentals of a city's civic life will be footpaths, public transport, basic water supply to everybody, storm water drains, sanitation and sewage. These are the fundamental civic infrastructure that a city should address.
Yes.
Now, we have ignored all these, and every government that has come to power has continued to ignore them.
Sir.
That is why, because of flooding, we are talking about this. If there is a traffic accident, we talk about traffic for a few days. If there is an RTC strike, we talk about public transport for a few days. And then, life goes back to normal or so-called business as usual approach. And as citizens, you swallow your frustrations, anger, and carry on with your life.
Dr. Ramachandraya, I heard the prescriptions which you made. Now, one fundamental topic which has been time and again said and uttered over the last 24 hours is the fact that the sewerage system, the system which can drain water, the excess water, is woefully inadequate. It is
what we call stormwater drains.
Yes, stormwater drains, and it is dating back to an era of the Nizams. This is what the common talk is. Now, I do know the fact that the newer parts of the city have a better drainage facility. They have, but do you think that part of the problem is also the lack of adequate planning and funds for rehashing the entire sewerage system in the city?
See, two things. We should not mix up sewerage system and stormwater drains.
Okay.
The stormwater drains are meant to collect water from the surface, wherever water falls, and then carry it as a channel underground and deposit into some larger area of,
water,
where water can accumulate.
Yes.
Sewage system is closed system, which collects only from the residences,
Yes.
apartments, etc.,
Yes.
and carries it to a treatment plant.
Right.
It is never let out.
Yes.
So these two are different. Sewage system in large parts of the city has reasonably improved, unless it overflows due to some blockage.
Yes.
I mean, this is not true about low-income localities and slums, but in the other parts of the city.
Right.
But when it comes to stormwater drains, people end up blaming, it is same like the one constructed during Nizam's time. That could be only for one part of the city.
Absolutely.
See, where is the stormwater drain in Madhapur, high-tech city, Gachibowli,
Yes.
Dilshuk Nagar, Vanasthalipuram? These are all new areas
Yes.
that have come up in the last, 20 to 30 years. So our basic, when a road is under construction in a new area or wherever, stormwater drain has to be part of the road design. And a footpath adjacent to the road has to be part of the road. A road means
Sir,
a
you're
stormwater drain.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Sir, you're laying, I notice, of course, I'm a big fan of having footpaths built all across the city, but I see that you are laying much emphasis on the construction of footpaths. Any particular reason you want to share as to why this emphasis on footpaths is so important for a city, sir?
Fundamentally because every human being every citizen who leaves the home for whatever purpose has to come to the street on foot. Some may take out their car, assuming that, public transport, metro or whatever. Fundamental thing are even to go for a small shopping 200 yards away. Fundamentally, person walks out of the home or a flat or your residence, and then you need to walk on the street. Now, let us take the rain situation. Even for 5 centimeter rain on an
Yes.
evening,
Yes.
people cannot walk on the street.
Yes.
Because, ultimately you are under, 1 feet, 2 feet deep water. You wet your shoe, pant, everything.
Yes.
This is not the case in any part of the world.
Yes.
In any part of the world, even a 2 lakh population city or a 1 crore population city, you step out of your residence, you have a footpath for walking and a road for vehicles. So the flooding affects all pedestrians even for small amounts of rain which we ignore.
Yes.
That has never become a discussion because we don't consider it as flooding. But millions of people who are on an evening on the roads, for 2 to 3 centimeters of rainfall also, they have to walk with a lot of difficulty.
Yes.
And pedestrians account for 1/3 of road accidents, road deaths in Hyderabad city.
That's
That
an
is
astonishing figure.
unacceptable high number.
Absolutely,
about
sir.
450 to 500 people. 3 days back, a speeding Jaguar
Yeah.
or somebody killed a person in Madhapur.
He was crossing the road.
Yeah. Why? He was walking on the. What I mean is, these are fundamental to the city. If these fundamentals are taken care,
Right.
sometimes when there is too much of rain, there will be flooding. But within a few hours, city will get back to normalcy
Sir,
if the fundamentals
right.
are strong.
Right.
It is,
Sir,
it is like your immunity is strong. Even if corona affects you, you are out of it within a few days.
so frankly,
that.
frankly, when I contacted you for this one, I was also wondering if the entire engineering nature of the design of the roads, of the design of the localities, is there kind of a problem there? Because the way I see it, several colonies don't have actually an outlet for water. Several roads are built in such a way that they will naturally collect water. Is this the problem of engineering, lack
No,
of adequate
there-
engineering skills on the part of government employees?
There is an engineering problem, there is a design problem,
Yes.
and the Huda HMDA now, which give permissions for layouts initially, the private builder does the layout
Okay.
and then hands over the layout
Area
to the HMDA or GHMC, whatever it is. Now these corporation, the HMDA collects huge development fee from the builders. What happens is builders are asked to lay the underground sewage lines till it connects to another major sewage network.
Yes.
But stormwater drains, nobody bothers.
Okay.
So fundamental fault lies with HMDA and GHMC, and then ultimately to urban governance. Who is governing them? We have a minister, we have a cabinet. Now you look at 2-3 things I highlight before time or whatever.
Yes.
You said in the beginning somewhere, funds, availability of funds. I feel availability of funds is never a problem. The lopsided priorities are a problem. If you take
Lopsided?
last 5 years in
Yes.
Hyderabad,
Yes.
what is one single most important activity that the Minister KTR has been busy with? If you
Building
can recollect,
flyovers?
it is flyovers. It is flyovers and underpasses. You see how many flyovers under so-called SRDP, Strategic Road Development Project. It is actually flyover building project. It is a misnomer to call it a road development project. 21,000 crores they are spending on flyovers.
Mm-hmm.
And about 20,000 crore metro has come into operation. See, even if L&T builds
Okay,
it, state government has spent about 3,000 crores.
So you're juxtaposing,
that
the fact that you are building a metro and still you're building flyovers.
flyovers. Plus, you have not built even 1 kilometer of footpath where people can walk safely.
Yes.
So this footpath provides safety from vehicles. Also during rains, people stand safely
Yes.
even when it rains, and
Yes.
they can still walk safely without getting into the water. So
Right.
on fundamentals, nobody is interested to build.
Right.
So
So,
and that applies to the flooding as well.
Right.
The fundamentals is you protect the lakes of the city, you protect open spaces, cushions, lakes provide cushions for rainwater.
Yes.
And
Sponge. Sponge
we
is
are
the
choking
term.
that cushion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sponge is sponging. The sponge of the extra water
Yes,
is what
yes.
we kept.
And we are choking it because of construction, housing sites,
Yes.
land values, corruption, nexus, whatever it is.
Sir,
So,
what?
and we discussed this for probably 3-4 days, then business
then
as
sir-
usual, back to normal, and till another disaster occurs, it is never an issue.
Right.
Unfortunately, we don't have political parties in Hyderabad who speak for the city, or we don't have a leader who speaks for the city. We have MLAs, MPs, political parties, ministers, opposition ruling, but we don't have a leader or a party which feels this is my city and I want this city to be good in the best in fundamentals. No.
Professor Ramchandraya, you are a policy person, and may I also add my bit that I have seen the deterioration in Mumbai, the quality of life Mumbai enjoyed, say around 3 decades back. I have seen the rapid decline in the quality of life of Bangalore, and that is actually ascribed to the fact that local leadership is not taking ownership of the city. Local leadership, in the
True.
sense the
True.
leadership of the city is not taking ownership, and that is one thing which actually is making the leadership of the state soak up the revenues of a big city and disperse it, which is fine because a city is not an isolated island. It functions as a part of an ecosystem and a
They
hinterland.
should spend something, at least 5% of what is generated in the city should be spent back into the city by the state government.
And you say that 5% is not spent out of the revenue.
Nothing. GHMC got nothing in the last year's budget.
Okay,
So
right.
they're taking the revenue, okay, but spend 5% of the GST generated in the city
Right.
by both the center and state governments. You give it back to the city.
So towards the end, one last workable solution, which let us assume the politicians are kept out of this out of this mix of decision making. At least, what kind of pressure groups can citizens create, or is there a workable solution, 1, 2, 3 step, which will actually see some kind of a change happening moving forward for the city of Hyderabad?
No, I cannot find out a solution by keeping political parties away, because
I
ultimately
do understand that in terms of pressure groups and policy groups.
pressure groups, citizens come forward in a big wave through colony associations, apartment associations. One difference with Bangalore, despite all the problems that you have mentioned about the deterioration in Bangalore, citizen groups are still very active in Bangalore.
Yes.
And I also found a qualitative difference in the way politicians react to citizen groups in Bangalore, Karnataka.
Okay.
Even the bureaucrats, they respond positively to citizen pressure in Bangalore. They will listen to them. They may not agree with them.
Right.
If a park is going to be, the steel flyover in Bangalore,
Yeah, it is
35,000 signatures, 10,000 people demonstrated against steel flyover in Bangalore.
yes.
Whereas here, Minister inaugurates foundation stone from VST to Indira Park for a steel flyover, which is absolutely not
Unnecessary.
required, which nobody asked for. I have not come across a single citizen group that asked for this steel flyover from Indira Park to VST. But it just goes. They might have even begun construction.
Right.
In Bangalore, people stopped it.
Right. Right.
So the attitude of politicians and authorities in Hyderabad
Yes.
is fundamentally very arrogant and
Weak and-
high-handed towards civil society
Right. Right. Right.
and indifferent. So that's why it is so many times more difficult in Hyderabad, or so many times more efforts have to be made in Hyderabad by the citizen groups to influence policy compared to, say, a city like Bangalore.
Thank you so much, sir.
So-
Thank you so much, sir. In
Thank
fact, Hyderabad can definitely learn from Bangalore. We are
Yes.
probably 5 years or 6 years behind Bangalore in terms of the size, in terms of the revenues, in terms
True.
of the direction which Hyderabad can take. And we can definitely learn from the mistakes which Bangalore has made, and we can learn. Thank you so much for being on the show, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
That was Professor Dr. C. Ramchandraya, who was talking about the kind of efforts needed to ensure that Hyderabad, it has been a city of lakes, just like Bangalore. There's so many similarities in Bangalore also in Chennai, the Chennai floods, of course, was a result of severe choking of the points which drain water from the city. Now, we do understand the fact that nature is unpredictable and we don't know the quantity of rainfall which a city may receive in a certain amount of time, like it happened on October 14th. But we can certainly control the way, the magnitude of the problem, magnitude of the damages which such kind of extra rainfall creates in a city. That's the kind of thing we should be looking at. And Professor Ramchandra definitely said, laid stress on the fact of payments. Payments are very important. He said they can be the life saviors for a city, and no adequate recognition has come in the city's planning infrastructure in terms of building footpaths and also design and engineering. Design and engineering are, of course, according to me at least, vital flaws in the entire administration system. One other mention which Professor Ramchandra made was the fact that stormwater drains are inadequate while sewer lines are actually laid in all areas connecting new plots which are developed by the builders and then handed over to the municipal corporation or the area or the municipal authority which governs that area. There is no provision made for stormwater drains, and should an area or should a new area get excess rainfall, that rainfall has no way to disperse and be taken away from that point of land. And that's why we see so many newer areas in Hayatnagar and Falaknuma being subsumed by this barrage of water, the magnificent amount of water the city has seen. This won't actually help the city's water woes, drinking water woes in the upcoming summer season. In fact, the kind of damage which you are seeing comes on the top of the COVID damages and the kind of economic downturn due to the lockdown. We will of course be connecting to another important part in this entire nexus, which is the activists who are fighting to save these lakes. Now, how important are the lakes? We will find out in a small point of time. Yeah, we are now connected to Jasleen Jairath. Can you hear me, Jasleen?
Yes, I'm Jasleen, not Jasleen.
Can you, Jasleen?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, thank you for the correction. Now we were talking about lakes. How vital are the lakes to ensure that the situation which happened to Hyderabad on October 14th and 15th does not happen again?
You see, the lakes of Hyderabad, they were 3,000 in number as per official records. They have been critical both as flood control measures and as drought proofing measures. But they have been systematically destroyed and encroached upon by the real estate mafia with tacit support, encouragement, aiding and abetting of the political establishment, and very often through the bureaucracy, through the irrigation department, the revenue department, and the municipal corporations.
Yes.
There have been rampant constructions which have been allowed. NOCs have been given inside the FTL, which is the full tank level boundary of the lake. They
Right.
have been allowed. So naturally, when water does not have an exit path, it's going to create a local flood.
Okay.
And yes.
Yeah, but also, Jasleen, for a small bit of time, let's step back. We do know that yesterday, of course, the amount of rainfall which came down on Hyderabad was humongous. It was huge. How much of preservation of lakes, or how much can lakes take this kind of extra water? Because obviously, let us assume that several areas didn't have lakes around them. There's no encroachment around them. Despite that, for example, Hayatnagar also got flooded. So where does the lake and the flooding in certain colonies come into picture?
Let me interrupt you here.
Yeah.
The lakes of the Deccan Plateau and also of Hyderabad and surrounding areas This is an interconnected system of cascading lakes. It's not one lake in isolation. And they were designed to create a certain storage capacity.
Mhm.
And if the water was more than the storage capacity, then there was a nala, an outlet that was provided for the water to flow into the lower level lake.
Yes.
And so on and so forth. So the final exit of surplus water was systematically directed into the Musi River, which is the natural drainage point.
Yes.
But when you obstruct the nalas and you obstruct all passages of water to the river, then what you will have is an extended flood, not only during a heavy rainfall, not only during the rainfall we had in the last couple of days, but even during a normal heavy rainfall.
Yes.
So I think it is absolutely escaping the responsibility by the real estate mafia and the political establishment. It is a shame that we are creating islands in Hussain Sagar. It is a shame that the golf course, Hyderabad golf course supported by the government, has an office located inside Shahatam Talab. And Nadeem Colony, which is just on the border of Shahatam Talab,
Yes.
which itself is inside the FTL of Shahatam Talab, gets submerged every season. It is
Okay.
not just a heavy rainfall.
But
Every year you
right.
have
Jasmine.
floods across Hyderabad.
Right, Jasmine, I did.
And there is no investment done into a proper reviving a proper drainage system so that
Right. Okay, Jasmine, pardon me for the interruption. I did try to analyze for a bit the issue of the drowning of the Nadeem colony. Now, this particular colony is located on the Seven Tombs to Toli Chowki Road, and Hatim Shah Talab is upstream of this particular colony. But only Nadeem colony got submerged, but the surrounding areas remained free of water. Do you think also the fact that the construction in certain areas is done in such a way that they were vital sources of
Yes.
yeah, we're talking about Nadeem colony, if you can hear me.
Hello? Yes?
Yeah. So Jasmine, I was talking about the Nadeem colony. I did manage
Yes,
to
yes.
have Nadeem colony in Toli Chowki.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I did manage to have a look at the kind of geographical location of Nadeem colony, and what I did observe was the fact that in that particular colony is abutting the
Yes.
Toli Chowki to Seven Tombs Road, but other areas around Nadeem colony didn't have that much of a problem as Nadeem colony A, and Hatim Shah Talab, which is upstream of this particular colony, it was flooded, no doubt. But can you just tell me how that is connected to the construction of the Hyderabad golf course?
Hyderabad Golf Course has created an office inside Shah Hatam Talab. The
Okay.
address of the office says Hyderabad Golf Course, Shah Hatam Talab. This is certified information from the irrigation department. And you create an office by dumping mud into Shah Hatam Talab, creating land out of water. This is illegal. This is, apart from being ecologically damaging, it does not have any legal sanction. However, unfortunately, this has by the political establishment of the state. And not only that, they have also destroyed the Naya Kila Talab, which was 27 acres as per a government report, an irrigation department high court ordered investigation. Today it has been reduced to 2-3 puddles. Jamali Punta in the main golf course, that was also a huge water body. It has been manicured into a small little pond, a poodle. Now the surplus flow all comes area, which is Nadeem Colony and Shah Hatam Talab. By the way, Nadeem Colony is a part of the FTL of Shah Hatam Talab, which as per the official record, was 75 acres. So
Okay.
naturally, the water will flow from the upstream to the
downstream.
And that is, and whatever the upstream areas remain safe and the downstream areas suffer. The
Right.
other point I'd like to make,
Yes.
during the 1908 floods, the massive floods, only the areas surrounding Musi River were flooded. The entire city was not flooded.
Yes.
That is because the river was in state. But now, even a normal heavy rainfall, you have decentralized floods all over Hyderabad. And tragically enough, the establishment, the political and the bureaucratic establishment, has not given any thought to the problem over the years. We keep a noise, we make a noise in the media around the floods and the monsoon, then we forget about it. What is the need of constructing a secretariat when you have a major structural infrastructure need, which is reviving a reasonable passage of water to the Musi River? These are the priorities. Instead, we do silly things like creating and damaging things like creating an island in Hussain Sagar. Look at Malkam Cheruvu, what Aparna builders are doing over there.
Aparna
CHS
Sarovar?
is hand in glove. It's cooperating with Aparna builders. I'm sorry, I have to take names.
You're talking about Aparna Sarovar, Malkam Charu?
I don't know whether it is called Sarovar, but they have a real estate project next to Malkam Cheruvu. There is a high court case filed by a very senior police officer. And yet, the GHMC is letting it being filled with mud. They are creating a platform for Ganesh Immersion, in which Hindu text is written that you destroy the water bodies and facilitate the damaging of a water body by putting those horrible plaster of Paris chemically painted statues into it. So the GHMC has also encroached Malkam Cheruvu, and from the other side, Aparna builders, their interest is also involved in encroaching and dumping mud into the Malkam Cheruvu. And there is a high court case, but ignoring the high court case, the GHM is changing the boundary of the lake. So I'm sorry, the official agencies are responsible in deliberate damage to the water bodies, which is the life source for the drainage of water in case of rainfall.
Right. Jasmine, the High Court and the courts have time and again warned administration and also any other private parties, including builders, against building on the FTL of lakes. How effective has that been? Why has that kind of strictures from the court, from the law, not been able to find an implementation on the ground? In reality, isn't there, we do understand.
You need to ask that question to those who are violating the court directions and the court orders and the court instructions. You need to ask the question why these people are not being punished. Why are their projects not being demolished? Why is this violation being permitted and allowed?
Right.
I'm not a person who wields the power. You have to ask this question to those who are in charge, who are responsible, who have the levers of power in their hands.
Yes.
But rather than their ignoring the court clearly implies a connivance, a collaboration, a cooperation, aiding and abetting. So there is an underlying, I can't say conspiracy, but there's an underlying vested interest.
Yes.
It is in the common interest because there's a lot of money involved.
Yes, of
So
course.
it is in the common for all these agencies.
Right. Right. Acha,
Yeah.
Jasmine, also importantly, now let us,
Yeah.
what has been the kind of timeline? Do we see any kind of success in terms of saving the lakes, and how much of this, how much of the damage has already been done?
I think the only answer is that the citizens of Hyderabad rise in revolt. But unfortunately, while for the Ganesh Utsav and for all the religious, for Muharram and for Eid, you will find crowds and crowds on the road. But the citizens of Hyderabad do not come out on the road to protest against these illegal and ecologically violent projects which destroy the lake. There is a lack of a political movement that will challenge or put a public pressure on these politicians, the political establishment, and the real estate mafia.
Right.
It is these two in collaboration. You were asking me about the court. Let me tell you, I have a case in the High Court. I am the petitioner regarding the Naya Kila Talab for last 8 years.
Yes.
Where are the hearings? I am an ordinary citizen. But
Yes.
there are no hearings. So you see the level of manipulation that is coming forth from the political lobby.
Right.
And there are principal secretaries, like the retired principal secretary, Mrs. Chandana Khan. She actively supported the violation of water bodies and facilitated the damaging of water bodies in connection with the Hyderabad Golf Course.
Okay.
And also for the Hospitality Institute, which has been built within the FPL of a lake somewhere near Manu.
Yeah, we are talking about
Thataputa
the
lake has,
Urdu University.
the Firangi
National.
Nala has been destroyed. A
Right.
heritage Nala coming, traveling and feeding about 80 water bodies on the way,
Right.
ending in Ibrahimpatnam.
Yes.
They have all been destroyed. It's under the eyes of the establishment.
In fact,
What are they
Ibrahimpatnam
doing about
remains,
it?
Ibrahimpatnam lake remains dry like nearly 80% of the time.
Yes, but it used to, Firangi Nala used to feed that. It used to end up in that after feeding 80 water bodies on the way. It was a heritage water body. And by the way, all these lakes are also under the heritage laws of the country. But that's being totally blatantly violated.
Right.
I'm shocked to see the emergence of the island in Hussain Sagar. Hussain Sagar has been reduced to 1/4 of its size. You
Right.
can't have STPs constructed inside the water body.
Right.
That is what's being done.
Right. Right.
And the other issue is of course the pollution issue. Anyway, that is not right now the issue regarding the floods. The point is the water has no exit passages because the historical, archaeological passages which have been constructed, which have worked for the last more than 400 years, have been destroyed in the past 50 plus years. Thanks to the modern technology, to the education, to computers, and this is what, in spite of having all the technology, this is what the political establishment has done.
Right.
All for their lucrative, because when you create land out of water, then you make money.
Also, Jasween, there is this also interesting aspect to the whole issue. The creation of, the non-creation or upgradation of stormwater drains. Do you think the government has not applied enough funds, enough time to create new stormwater drains in all the new areas which are now getting highly urbanized?
Yeah. You see, as per the Municipal Act, erstwhile Act of sometime around the 50s, it has been clearly laid out that the stormwater drains are distinct from the sewage drains. But
Yes.
now, today, we have a situation when the two have been submerged. Not only have they been submerged, but their areas have been constricted.
Right.
And that is the reason why they are not able to carry the flow. And
Yes.
many of them have been filled up. And buildings have been constructed on top of these water drains.
Right.
Now, where do they get permissions from? What the hell is the municipal corporation doing? What the hell is the MAUD department, the local civic authorities, what are they doing? What is HMWSSB doing? And to safeguard those floods, Mr. Visheshwaraya, way back in the 30s, designed and got Himayat Sagar and Gandipet constructed so that they become as reservoirs of water and which
soak
have
up.
fed Hyderabad
Yes.
and provided a drought, a succor, a buffer support
Yes.
during the lean period.
Right.
Now, these water bodies, ancient water bodies, which are supplying water by gravity flow at the cheapest rate. Now there is a movement by the political parties to cancel or to limit or constrain Geo 111, which has been a very strong legislation sanctioned by the Supreme Court that you cannot have construction subject to certain limitations within 10 kilometers of the radius of these two water bodies. Election of the political parties have been fought under the banner that we will get Geo 111 cancelled.
That
That
would be
shows
disastrous.
clearly that we are being ruled by contractors and real estate sharks. And they are voted into power because there's a lot of money to be made.
Yes,
Geo 111 is there to protect these two water bodies.
yes,
So, it is the whole construction mania with an insensitivity towards the water flow that has been responsible. So we don't have any planning. We are only led by projects.
of course.
I think it is a single straight failure of urban planning.
Jasmine,
And there's no imagination, there's no value, there's no worth of a system which is time tested. For more than 400 years, this has withstood the test of time. And we have destroyed it.
Jasmine, for an ordinary citizen like you and me, you of course are an important
Yeah.
activist in the social activism, in the urban development system. What can an ordinary person think and do and carry out and try to ensure that activists like you, ideas like yours, ideas like ours, ideas are basically fundamental to preserving the nature of the city and not to be submerged by an freak nature rainfall like this? What can ordinary people do? What's the way forward here?
They have to get organized and come on the streets to protest as per as our constitution allows us, that we do not agree, we will not allow this violation or this construction or this encroachment of the water bodies, which includes the nalas, includes the interconnecting channels of water flow that ultimately direct the water to Musi.
Right.
They have to come and get organized. But as I said, the citizens of Hyderabad are really very, very insensitive to
Right.
the degradation that has going on.
Right.
They do not come out in that measure, with that strength.
Hopefully, Jasmine, the kind of visuals everybody is watching over the last 2 days, hopefully that could spur several people to actually think of doing something for the city which provides them sustenance. So thank you very much, Jasmine Jairat, for joining us CVR English and sharing your views. Thank you so much once again. Now, Jasmine also made an important point that why aren't we questioning the authorities? Now, we are just going to do that. We are going to be calling a person who we spoke to the other day when the GHMC passed the 50% of reservation for women act, which was act passed by the TRS government. Kavita is of course a corporator, and she is a corporate from the TRS, from the ruling party, and we are going to ask her as to why is it happening that the city is getting flooded and what can be done to save the city. Meanwhile, let's take the other issues into consideration. Could nature alone be blamed from the misery and destruction witnessed when rain pummeled Hyderabad? Urban flooding is of course not a new phenomenon in Hyderabad. Yeah. Now we are joined by Kavita, who has been kind enough to come in this program. Kavita, Sunil here once again from CVR English. We have been discussing the issue of the flooding of Hyderabad, and we have spoken to several activists and people who are policy makers, and what they have shared in common, I'll just share with you. One thing they have been saying is that there has been extra focus on building urban infrastructure in the form of flyovers, but not adequate roads and adequate drainage. Second thing they have been stressing quite enough is the fact that lakes have been encroached and nothing has been done about it. Your views as a TRS corporator on both these aspects, Kavita?
No, actually, the other persons are saying that GHMC have been focused on the metro and other issues. You are saying that. No, it's. I'm not telling that it's true. because we are focusing all of the GHMC department and even the HNWS department is also focusing on the sewerage water issue and Nala issue also. See you one thing, just I want to say one more issue. In the GHMC council, we
Yes.
have for each division they have allotted the monsoon team. With each vehicle there will be 10 staff members, like 10 labor. Anyway, before the monsoon season, from summer season also, from lockdown also, they have been started the work of removing the Nala silt. And even though not only that one, and even though they have given a special budget from the HMWS department to remove the in advance sewerage silt also because the monsoon will come. So
Right.
in advance only will be there in the position. But who are saying that we are not in there, the only development of the metro like in other issues.
Right. Kavita, let me clarify. What was being said and discussed earlier was the fact that let us not pick up the shovel, let us not pick up the bulldozer or the JCB when there is a crisis. Let us plan for a longer duration. Let us plan in such a way. Let us also implement that kind of planning that they said is lacking the willpower of the political party, of your party, to implement on ground what is beneficial to the city has not been done.
See, the thing you have been asked that when there is a water stagnation on the roads or whatever is in the colonies or slum areas, you have to take the immediate action. You are asking for me that only.
I'm
See, the thing
asking.
is, the question you are asking for me, that just I want to say one thing here. Before the government, what are the TRS government, not only that one and the Congress government have been given the permission on this building on the nalas, and because I am one of the corporators from TRS party, just recently the TRS party have been formed recently 8 to 9 years. Before that, what have done from the Congress period that I am asking you, they have given the permission on the Nala, FTL land, Shikam land, Workbird land, like they given the permission. You can come, if you want, you can come into my division or you can see it. I'll show the position because there is no, in that Nala, they have so many sewerage lines have been given permission to give in the Nala. So this is a situation have given the permission. If there is an issue regarding to remove the building, whatever it is, if there is a Nala issue also, if it come, we are ready to remove that one. So we are not going a back step. TRS government is ready to remove the buildings. You know everything. Recently, KTR and I have been informed to whatever the issues are there have been built and all, just remove it from the town planning section. He had given authorities to the town planning section.
Right. Okay. Now let us assume that there is some kind of a movement forward in terms of removing encroachments on nalas and other things. In your view, as a corporator, do you think the preservation of lakes is also an equally important aspect of this one? Okay, that is a second question is also, Kavita, is that what could be the basic reason why the city got flooded, why there is so much destruction and loss of life in the city of Hyderabad due to just one rain? I can understand it was highest rainfall in the last 24 hours or last 48 hours. But the extent of the damage, could it have been prevented if the administrative machinery and the long-term planning was perfect?
See, you are asking me the water is stagnation. What can we do for the solution of that one? So the thing is, here we have to make a build of that more catch pits and what are the stormwater lines. We have to take a special care of the stormwater lines. We have to build the stormwater lines wherever we need it. And even though GHMC has given the budget of 300 crores for entire GHMC department, Hyderabad, and we are where we need for the Nala issue, or where we have to make a divert of the Nala from from colony or the slum area. We are going to make a plan for the stormwater line also, and even whatever the catch pits, not only the catch pits, and wherever the water is stagnating in the Nala, whatever it is, we are going to take as a pre-plan.
Right, right. Thank you, Kavita, for joining us on this particular show. We are delighted to have a different view from a member of the ruling party and as a person very active corporator. Thank you so much. So that was a brief, rather brief, 1 hour long interaction with three people. One is Professor C. Ramachandraya of the Center for Policy Studies. He of course explained to us the fact that pavements are the key to any development project, road development project in any part of the city. They just not allow people freedom of movement. They also save lives by protecting them from speeding vehicles. In fact, he said 1/3 of the lives lost in Hyderabad due to road accidents or of pedestrians. He also said that the kind of planning which needs to be done, it's inadequate, but also the fact that citizen pressure groups ought to be very much active. He also said that Bengaluru has had a kind of activism, a kind of people coming onto the streets to protect what they said was their heritage and the kind of and decide on the utilization of funds that Bangalore citizens were able to do. And therefore it is time for Hyderabad and its citizens to come out on the streets, to be socially active, and also ensure all the projects, all the planning which the city is undergoing, they have a say in it, and they are also able to suggest and also decide in the funds of this big city are spent. We also spoke to Jasween Jairat, who of course is a strong activist in terms of trying to preserve lakes, and that's definitely a big plus for the city, because the lakes, the city, the network of interconnected lakes which abound around Hyderabad, they are the soaking points for the extra water. And if some amount of those lakes, the extent of encroachment is so much that if all the lakes had existed as they existed probably say 60-70 years back, some of the kind of destruction and inundation which you saw on October 14 and 15, that could have been prevented. With this, we come to the end of this particular interesting show on why Hyderabad on October 15th and 14th got submerged due to an all-time record high rainfall, but also the kind of measures the city can take to prevent any such event happening in the future. With this, we come to the end of the show. Thank you for watching CVR English. I am Sunil Patil.